I want to get 2 more elevators in up here. Excellent. Apparently I'm live. So, hey guys, I'm Phoenix here and welcome back to Stationeers. I thought I just might as well do another stream. I've had a quiet day of not actually being that quiet, to be fair. We're currently in the midst of a storm in the United Kingdom. I know, right? United Kingdom, it's always sunny here. There's quite a nasty. Well, there was quite a nasty storm going on out there today. So, just thought I would do another stream. Continuing on with the Vulcan Hotel. So, when last we saw one another, which was yesterday, I'd sort of started building this out. I had the sort of bottom level done, and the elevators had only just gone in. Not much of the floor had gone in. So what I have done is I've put in the elevator, and that's wired in at the back here. And I then made a load of kit walls, which I've ended up with way too many for. I don't need any of that. But I do now need to queue up a load of steel sheets. Let's say, I don't know, 30 of them. 30 of them. So yeah, okay, so here is the plan for today. What I would like to be able to do today is seal off this area and then flush the atmosphere so that it's a vacuum basically inside. Now, something interesting has happened. The lander has vanished, which is slightly irritating. I mean, you know, early access, yada yada yada, but yeah, the lander has vanished, which had a tank of oxygen on it. And I wasn't really doing anything with that oxygen yet because I wasn't really in a position to do anything with it. However, yeah, so that tank has vanished. So, what I'm going to have to do is build another tool maker and then wire that in. And I say build another one. I could probably just flush this entire atmosphere, which would probably be a lot safer, to be fair. I'm currently standing in a hydrogen atmosphere in a workshop with all kinds of things going on around me. This is a sealed environment, so all I need to do is close these doors off and then set this off to make oxide, and yeah, so no, that would be fine. What I can even do is just reutilize that active vent, and you know, stick it in here somewhere, and then I can flush the atmosphere. But first things first, we've got to get this area to a state where it can, well, it's basically finished. So floor needs to be welded fully. I think there's a hole. Yeah, that one definitely needs to be welded up. Yeah, but yeah, we need to weld up the floor. Finish the walls wherever it is. There's some welding that needs to be done there as well, and then finish off the ceiling and weld it. Now, something else that I just need to do is switch my batteries out. Coal. I've got to have some coal somewhere. Yes, I do. Yeah, and what I would like to do is also get the gas fuel generator in as well. That we'll sort of have to see on that front. But one slightly concerning thing that I have noticed about this environment is that any canisters that I have lying around do actually increase pressure just from sitting around, which is worrying because some of these canisters I've just picked up an empty one. Yeah, some of these canisters are actually getting quite full. So I do need to put them into this system to hopefully ease the pressure by putting them into this tank. Not completely certain why they are doing that, because I don't think they should be doing that. But they are, and there's nothing really much more I can do about it other than just, put it into a storage tank for now, and then hopefully later on, when the atmosphere is more stable, I can flush it properly and safely as well. So yeah, no, this is starting to keep falling down that hole. I'm going to have to weld that one up in a minute. This is starting to look pretty good, all in all. I'm not completely satisfied with the walls that I've got yet. There might need to be a little bit of reworking here and there, but for now, we can probably run a redecoration later. So for now, padded walls up. So padded arch on the lower floor, padded wall on the next one up, and then I've got a little bit of a gantry way going there. What I'm thinking is possibly putting steel sort of supports along there, the angled supports, which would mean taking out that one. But yeah, some steel frames in there as supports, and then if we go upstairs, so I'm looking at a ceiling that's essentially 2 blocks high. So there'll be this sort of little office area in here. I'm not satisfied with these geometric walls yet, but anyway, there'll be and there'll be an arch wall on the top. What I might do is do some arch walls down here eventually, but that will be for later. For now, I just want to get the walls in and get the ceiling welded up, so we can move on to the next phase, which I probably should have accounted for, because actually I need to put an airlock in. Right, so if we've got, I'm not. What I could do is put a gantry-way around there, and instead of having it in at ground level, have a sort of let's have a bridge that sort of goes across to. So we've got a lobby area, and then we have an airlock that goes from here that way, whichever that way is. Let's just say that that's north, so that would be east. It's probably not, but anyway. Yeah, so we just go east, what I'm calling east, that way by, say, 10 blocks or so, and do a sort of maybe a 3 wide corridor that goes on for about 10 blocks, and then actually goes into the main sort of I can do something fairly sort of, so you come out and you're in almost like a ballroom type of sort of a reception area, let's say, with rooms on the sides, maybe going off to one side can be like a casino. I've got a very, very rough plan of how I might be able to do some gambling machines. And then the other side could be more like a shop, like a department store. If I don't know if the Americans have an equivalent to a department store. I'm not completely certain about that, but essentially a department store is a shop where it's like John Lewis in the UK, where you will have one shop that sells small things out of a little department. So you'll have the film department, the clothing department, etc., etc. And the clothing departments even get sort of broken down even further to be like, this area. So I went into a department store actually yesterday, and it was, one area is for this brand of clothing and one area is for this brand of clothing, and they all look awful. I did not have a successful shopping trip, put it that way. So yeah. Anyway, let's continue with our cunning plan. So I need what I will need then is a couple of. What I would love is a couple of airlock doors. Big, chunky. I don't know what that comes under. Oh, airlock, I think. I will need a few of these, and I will also need the toolmaker to make me some iron. So I just need to chatting to people about the storms. Yeah, so let's go, and so we kind of need to remove this door for what's going to happen in the future. So I need to just deconstruct this, and then we'll just pull this door apart, because this door is not useful. In fact, I'm tempted to just deconstruct this entire segment. Cut this right back down, well, to about here, I guess, and just weld this up, because I need this to be my exit. Especially as I've not got any real reason to go out that way now. I think it is time to just tear this part up. And, well, I say tear it up. What I'm going to be doing is actually I will leave a door in to the outside. With the basic idea, just rip all this apart. With the basic idea that in a fire. Oh, actually, no. This complicates things a bit. So, my original plan for all the hotel systems was to have a sort of a fire suppression system, and fire suppression systems are actually quite easy when you think about things like the moon or Mars, because the atmosphere isn't breathable. So in the case of a fire, if the temperature reaches a certain degree anywhere in the building, in the facility, it's actually quite easy to deal with, because all you need to do is just seal off the fire so it's all contained into one area, and then open the doors to the outside. However, if I do that here, what's going to happen is that the room is going to explode. And that would be bad. So, what I actually need to do is remove this section completely. I don't need this section at all now. It's an old style construction. We can do something better with this. Just sort of grabbing things and throwing it into the main. I'll deal with all this mess in a minute. So all of this needs to come down. What's that wrench needs to be? And I'll get some iron frames back out of it as well. Do I want that one? Don't know, but I certainly don't need that anymore. Or that. This I will actually just put somewhere reasonably sane because it's a data disk and it's small. And just throw it into there for a second. And I'll just throw those in. What's happened with my oxygen bottles? Oh, it's with my waste tank. Oh, yeah, I'm about to die again. This will happen a lot because at the moment I don't have any way of getting oxygen. I used to, and then the lander vanished. So yeah, that was a thing. But hopefully this will be the last time because my next iteration, if you like. I thought I had deconstructed that. Anyway, yeah, my next iteration will hopefully get that room complete, and then there'll be less sort of dying because of atmospheric things. Why is this? There we go. Wrench. Was it? Oh no, it's an angle grind. I need the angle grinder. And I would assume that needs the angle grinder as well. There we go. Oh yeah, that's where my other active vent is. All of this can come inside now. And this can be angle grinder to take this out, and then we move over to the hand drill, and then the wrench. Right. So yeah, the fire suppression system is going to have to be a little bit more complicated than I first thought. I mean, not too much more complicated, to be fair. All that it needs is, instead of me opening the outer doors, absolute tipping it now. All I really need to do is just flood it with carbon dioxide. Seal the room off, flood it with carbon dioxide. Let's just grab all of this cable. Also, I neaten up this. Slightly interesting how long I can actually survive without oxygen. Well, I guess because my yeah, now I'm dying. It's not going to stop me though. I'm just going to quickly oh, I didn't need to. That's fine. Oh god. Yep, my spawn point drops me in lava. Lovely. Yeah, no, the lander's just gone. Which is slightly irritating. Otherwise, I'd be able to actually survive a little bit longer because I'd had this oxygen supplies. But no, that's just gone off somewhere. I need to just. That one can. Right, so. I've got a bit of welding to do, so I'll do that now. Anyway, so that one is now sealed up, which is good because I'm going to need to put an active vent in there and depressurize this environment. get this welded up. Right, so that's that one done. And while I'm at it, while I'm just welding things, let's just weld that up and then weld up what we can here. Okay. I need plenty more of these. I've got some spare, so let's just use those. A load of steel sheets, floor grating, whole load of little airlocky bits, which we're going to need. I'm slightly... Oh no, that'll be fine. Right. So I think there's just one that needs to be put in up here. There's one on that wall, and then there's this wall here. I think if I start producing iron plates, I can get that lot welded up. And then, yeah, no, it's coming along nicely. What do I need? About 200 iron plates, I think. I also need some power. Apparently I don't have any power. Ugh. So in all of this mess, I do have an active vent. Oh, I should have grabbed that other vent from outside. And wall some iron frames. I kind of wish I had the ability to do more than just click with that. Right, so a little bit of tidying up, sort of. Right, okay, I think that's padded wall, kit wall. Padded wall I'm not using anymore. Ooh, there's some iron frames there. Let's get these placed. I'm half considering actually. No, because I want to be able to stand up here and look down on everything. Maybe bring so there's not quite so much. If I put the next load of frames along here, because you're still then going to be able to look out and look down, but there won't be quite so much welding to do, and then I can have like steel slopes or something. The cladding might have a slope. So what we've got some arched walls here. Got some geometric walls. Oh, we've got an elevator actually. I would quite like to get in, because it's going to be easier to do if I have another level in here. So we've got an elevator shaft, and then I just need another elevator to go in on the top of that. Just means that it's easier when I'm welding up the ceiling if I can just walk on the roof. It just makes life a lot easier. Then I can actually put the tanks that I need on the roof. That might work quite well, and then maybe like use the cladding to sort of pad them in a bit. Glass sheets. I've got some geometric walls there and some arched walls. So the arched walls need to go in on the this would be the time to change it if I wanted to. So 3, 3. Just 'cause I'm not a huge fan of the geometric walls there. I think maybe on the back wall it might be okay if I use the T ones. But I think on the side walls, I just want to take them out completely. And put in the arched ones. And it would be the... I wonder what the two-tone ones look like. Oh, with a slight touch on the top. Or oh no, down the middle. Yeah, they look good. Let's have the two-tone ones. They look a bit funny on the sides because we've got the Z fighting on the corners, but also this one needs to come out as well. Those ones do look a bit funny on the back. Because we don't have the supports and they just sort of start. I mean, padded walls might look better on the top there. This is the time to do it, I think, rather than wait. So I'm going to actually take these out. So we've got the wall arch on the side, and then go and get the padded walls wherever I put them. Geometric, arched, geometric. I mean, geometric ones might be okay. Let's see what we've got. Yes, we don't have a huge amount of different geometric walls, so I'll go and grab the padded ones. Which are around here, aren't they? A little bit like a makeover show, really. If I use thick padding and I then don't get the Z fighting. And the lip is not actually too bad down there. See, that's gonna be an utter pain to. And then, of course, it's going to be a case of getting lighting in. Yeah. Not completely certain how that's going to sort of turn out, but let's get a whole load of welding done. I've got loads of iron sheets. And then just making iron sheets, it just sort of fills everything up a bit. And while that's sort of, it's got some that going, let's also make a load of steel sheets. I'm going to need about 30 of them as well. And this is a bit dangerous, but I need to set this off making coal, because the power might run out a bit, and yeah, so I'm gonna just basically leave it while it makes coal. While I do a whole load of I said a whole load of welding, and no, that's going to go interestingly. What I need is to go into this thing, pull the battery out of it. So that I can then go to here, pull the battery out of that, and yeah, stick the battery in there. Don't need that one anymore. It's just a big pile of things in here right now. It's fine. It'd be nice to have, well, just have a building that's not full of hydrogen, so I can take the helmet. Well, probably wouldn't be able to take the helmet off, but it would certainly be reduced everything consumption if I'm not having to worry about well, anything. Almost finished, actually. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 plates to go. Replace this with an actual airlock. Angle grinder. Right. It's run out of battery. The angle grinder's run out of battery. Fine. What else do I need? I think is it that one? That's hand drill. And then it's wrench, right? No. That's fallen into the abyss. Let's just see if we can. If you're wondering how I'm actually able to do this, with making coal out of a tool manufacturer, you may be thinking, but I can't do that. No, you can't, because I've got a little XML edit that allows me to do this. It is available on the workshop. There are loads of little XML edits you can get. This is not by any means unique. It's just the time when I built it, the game was reasonably, or at least the modding support side of things was reasonably new, and there wasn't anything else out there that really did what I wanted it to do, so I just did it myself, basically. So yeah, this isn't anything new. This is something that you can just get on Workshop easily enough. But yes, the one that I've got is called Hatch's Mass Fab. The idea behind it was that it was going to be a companion mod for Hatches whenever I actually get around to building it. In some ways, this map that I'm doing now, this level may actually end up being the basis for a Hatches map, simply because the whole idea behind Hatches was that of disaster. So if I can get a nice sort of hotel type of thing going, I can then do interesting things with it, with sort of disasters, essentially. I can turn this into a disaster map, I think, fairly easily. The only thing that... So, I think the key to any sort of disaster style is to have one thing that goes horribly wrong. So it's something like Airplane. Airplane's a great movie. So Airplane was a movie built that was done in I can't remember. It's certainly set up. It's set after World War II. I think it's a sort of I can't remember if it's like it's probably 80s-ish. 80. Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna have to have a look now. When did Airplane? It's a comedy anyway. 1980. Yeah. Specifically, it's designated as a parody film disaster. Yeah. So 1980s. Oh, actually, it was released in 1980. And so the whole premise behind it is so it was made in the era of the disaster film. So big sort of I can't remember, but some of them had some really sort of corny names. I think that you certainly would, things like Terror in the Skies, that sort of thing. There's loads of them. They did like the Poseidon Adventure, which is the ship that flipped upside down. I've watched the original of that. I haven't watched the remake. But yeah, the ship gets flipped upside down. You kind of got the band of plucky survivors that are making their way down through the ship, technically, to reach the hull, so that they can actually escape because the ship's upside down. And I assume there would have been like the Titanic's, because the Titanic film has been remade so many times. I think it's on its like 12th or 12th remake or something by now. It's been remade a lot anyway, in different formats. And so yeah, so so Airplane was released at a time when this was quite a popular genre, and so they could parody it. I don't know why my voice went weird there. So anyway, yeah, so that they could parody it. And so it's the arch two-tone, wasn't it? And then we'll do a flip and do that. And we'll do over there. Yeah, because those aren't actually two-tone. Oh, damn it, I can't take it out because... if those are... Yeah, so we won't want to do the two-tone now. I just need to grab another angle grinder. Hold on. But anyway, yeah, so Airplane came along at a time that everybody was doing a disaster film about everything, and they were starting to run out of ideas, I think, by the umpteenth film about... I mean, I have to say, they did have some fairly interesting ideas. There was one that I watched where... I don't know what it was, but it was like a lightning strike or something had taken out the cockpit, some kind of fire, and so they'd sort of jury-rigged some kind of system together so that the autopilot would fly them where they wanted to go, and by sort of jiggling the cables they could make it fly to different places, which I thought was a kind of interesting idea. But anyway, so yes, so at some point they did sort of start to almost panic about finding new and interesting ideas for these disaster films. But yeah, so along came Airplane. Now, Airplane did not take things seriously whatsoever. It prodded fun at the entire genre. The idea was that plane to going from one place to another. Ted Stryker gets on board, and he's afraid of flying after the war, where his war history meant that he was given a lifelong fear of flying, which that sort of thing happens to a certain degree for fighter pilots who'd been shot down. It happens with everyone. We all have our fears that permeate into our lives in one way or another. But yes, so anyway, Ted Stryker fights his fear of flying and gets on board this plane in pursuit of his love interest. So it's ticking all the boxes of what an awful lot of films did in those days, where you have the hero, you have the love interest, and some of those things have generally just stuck around as well for good or ill. An awful lot of those tropes do kind of stick around, where you do tend to have the hero and you do tend to have the love interest in it. But anyway, so while on board, while in flight, the fish is has something wrong with it anyway, and the entire crew are incapacitated, and it's up to Ted Stryker to land the plane. And it's a comedy that plays an awful lot on visuals. It's not an awful lot of the time when I recommend Airplane to people, they're instantly sort of dissatisfied with it when I say that it's an American comedy, because an awful lot of American comedies are generally crap. These days, you don't find a good American comedy anymore. They've certainly lost their way, but in the 1980s, when you had things like Ghostbusters coming out and Airplane, and it was at the time when America were doing quite a lot of dark comedies, and they were doing them really well. And Airplane, I would consider to be a dark comedy, because it's about, you kind of got the air travel aspect, but they are really just not afraid to make fun of pretty much anything. You wouldn't be able to make a film like it ever again, not these days, not with sort of sensibilities being what they are now. But back in the day, yeah, no, it worked really well. And I just need to get some gold. So yeah, going back to the original idea. So the idea of creating a disaster thing, if you can create a good basis, you can then do all kinds of things with it in new and interesting ways. And I think certainly having the atmosphere being what it is out there does make for some rather interesting. Something as simple as a hull bridge can actually go disastrously wrong if somebody was to say disable the blast doors. You can then have a very quick and fast fire tearing through the place, and only the areas that are actually sealed off at the time survive. Things like Doctor Who actually plays with those ideas a lot. I mean, the general idea of Doctor Who is generally that it's a disaster movie. It's a disaster episode each week. Elevator level is what I need there, I think. Yeah, because it will go out, and then there'll be a sort of a roof access type of thing. I'll put in a... I'm pointing again at the screen. I'll put in a thing there, and then I'll put a blast door in, like a small airlock type of thing, where you basically just flush the... When you go in, you just basically hit a button. You flush the environment, so you're not letting hydrogen in. But, you know, things like that where you could potentially fiddle with that airlock. So it's not actually flushing the atmosphere, or maybe it's leaking it inside. I think you can do, if you've got a good sort of base, you can then sort of start playing around with different things to see what you can do, to kind of stress test it. My elevators, I've probably run out of power. Hold on. I need to fix the power as well. No, I haven't run out of power. Why does this not have power? Interesting. Oh well, okay, we'll deal with that at some point. Right, so our floor is done, isn't it? Yeah, our floor is done, so we can actually start putting in the proper floors. Right, let's go. Just grab a whole bunch of these kit airlocks. Going to need them. So where was I going to put this? I was probably going to put the airlock about here. Let's just put it there for now. And then we have a second one that goes in here. And then hand drill. And then a wrench. Should note, as I always tend to forget in these things when I'm doing streams, if you are interested in the game that I'm playing, which the game in question right now is called Stationeers, then it is available on Steam. It's currently a Steam exclusive. And oh yes, and it's also in early access still at the moment. Should note that, so that yeah, things might go horribly wrong. You know, that's sort of a given because it is an early access game. Now I need to make me loads of coal again. Okay, a little bit of a tidy up. So where am I in the grand scheme of things? So I need a little bit more padded walls. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 padded walls. So let's go and just queue that up. I'll make an extra one, and I'll also make a load of steel plates as well while I'm at it. Steel sheets, there it is. And 20 of them. that one? Arched walls. And mouse is finally full of energy, and I really need a new mic stand. Had this mic stand since I got the microphone, so it's starting to get a little worn, but yeah, like everything. Life. Okay, so it's an absolute tip in here. I can just put all those plastic sheets together. Sheets. Why on earth do I have canister storage lying around? I would love to get a couple of stacks of coal before I go and start doing anything else. That's that. Right. Okay, well, while that's just making me a load of coal, I will start getting these padded walls in. So it's padded wall, just padding, I think it is. Yeah, it's just padding. Oh god, I've done something. Okay. One more. Yeah. Okay. Right. I should be fine for coal now. Just put them down there. Clear that out. Let's get this making steel. Normally I would have a chute connecting these two together. The reason why I don't at the moment is because I don't want coal to go into this machine at the moment, and I don't have any sort of filters set up yet. Certainly once I've got power a little bit more stabilised, can, you know, sort something out a little bit better than what I've currently got. Yeah, no, it's coming along nicely. I think this will be a very, very good sort of platform to experiment with and sort of build various scenarios surrounding it in sort of new and interesting ways. So I need it to make me floor grating of many. I will also need it to make me geometric walls of many. Let's just put that in kit. Geometric wall of probably about 20 to start with. So floors, so we'll have the floor that comes out here and then goes into there. That's fine. Well then, you know, that will be an airlock and sealed off from the world. then it will just be iron frames, won't it? Iron frames right back to about here, and then the tanks will go in on top. Oh, my oh god, that tank's about to blow. Grab a okay. These tanks were about to get over-pressured. And then that was causing my temperature to hike as a result. Right, let's get these padded walls in. It's it's certainly coming along quite well. Okay, so one padded wall left, which is kind of what I expected. I can just, put it in there. There we go. And then eventually sort of put in walls around here to sort of pad them out. Pad them out. I've got loads of steel sheets actually, so I could probably so crowbar and plastic sheets. It's almost like I've got a load of plastic sheets over here. Steel sheets. Right, okay, so that is now an airlock, essentially. Okay, so we've got the okay, so airlock doors are in, so this just needs to be capped off. I need to actually finish the windows, apparently. Got glass sheets, that will finish those. I'll just grab some iron sheets, which I had one there. So I just need one more iron sheet, and then that window will be finished. Yeah, let's put that in there. So it's making floor grating at the moment. It's fine. It's a little bit of a. It's getting a little. I say getting a little bit. It is a little bit of a mess in there. It's fine. Actually, as those floors are done, I haven't wired them in yet, but get that sorted out around it. What's that? That's an airlock. I certainly think that the biggest challenge of making this into any sort of a map would be, well, So some of the things that I am looking forward to in the future, I should note, is having some kind of a round system, so that this map could be reloaded as a result of sort of a server restart from scratch. So you can create sort of a Space Station 13 style of gameplay. That, I think, will be quite fun if they can work out how to sort of get that going. If they do that, I don't know if that is still the plan. Certainly it used to be. So I very much like that sort of idea. So going forwards, you can have a sort of people do certain tasks on the space station for the benefit of everyone else, and then you will have people who are traitors, who are there to break things rather than make things. And my power's gone out again, that's fine. Yeah, so where was I? Yeah, so in the future, this so in the future you could have a group of people on a space station like this, or a station like this, and they're playing through it in the same way that Space Station 13 used to be a thing. It still is. It still is around. Where people are trying to keep the area running. Meanwhile, there are dissenters who are trying to break things and cause trouble. I certainly like that sort of idea, and it would be interesting if it does sort of come along to build a level with that in mind. I need to take out this angle grinder. The challenge is, of course, the tools. The tools are actually quite powerful. And as you can tell from just me playing the game, the tools are actually incredibly powerful. If you wanted to go through a door, all you really need to do is just use your tools to tear the door apart. This doesn't really allow for very complex gameplay, because in order to keep someone out, you're ultimately you're stuffed, because keeping someone out is actually quite difficult, because you might have sort of a keycard system, but all that means is that somebody just needs to get a tool and tear the door apart, and that's how they get in. So yeah, in the future, I think there does need to be a way of dealing with that kind of gameplay, because it's not really good for a round-based experience. From a construction side of things, single-player construction, fine. As soon as you start doing multiplayer construction, where you are trying to deal with real-world people, it can get a little bit more awkward, because you are then having to deal with, people. And people are annoying in all kinds of ways. They will want to, you will get people who are fine with sort of the honour system of PvP, or playing sort of multiplayer games, where if somebody's got their door locked, you don't smash the door down. However, that is not everyone, and so if you give people the ability to just smash doors down, even though there is also the ability to prevent them from gaining access in the first place, that doesn't necessarily mean that people aren't just going to smash the doors down. If they want in, they will find their own way in, and it won't necessarily be a clever way of doing it. It will just be using the tools to smash the door in, and then taking all of your stuff, and that isn't, that's certainly a problem with the game. There should always be a way in which you can gain access to a base, sure, but it should be a clever way of making you feel smart for actually doing so, rather than just saying, hey, you know what, you can just take your tools and tear the doors apart, or just smash a hole in through the wall, and then you take all their stuff. That's just not, that's a flaw in the gameplay, certainly. Let's just get these sheets back. So obviously I am looking forward to Starbase. I should note, I'm really looking forward to Starbase, because it's what you want from games like Space Engineers. You know, what people wanted from Space Engineers, and what I wanted from Space Engineers, is a game where people built ships in either a PvE or a PvP scenario. That didn't matter, but you could have big space battles. That's what I wanted from Space Engineers, and it didn't turn into that. It turned into this horrible mess of barely connected features that didn't have any sort of connective tissue between the features. So yeah, you could, if you wanted to, go and fight other people, except the map was 7.7 AU big, which is huge. It's so actually finding people is going to be very difficult, and because there wasn't any such thing like using scarcity of resources. Using scarcity of resources is a great way to draw people in to areas, so that you can get those tense moments of, you know, the sort of things that I used to do in Elite Dangerous, actually, weirdly, when I was running slaves. You know, those moments of sneaking in to an outpost when there was a police anaconda drifting around, and I was kind of sneaking in. You know, that sort of stuff is fun, because although you have the security systems enforced, there are ways around them. And so when you have a game like Space Engineers, which does offer the potential for some quite fun interactivity, and then they completely hamstring them by putting a load of their, you know, performance budget into the planets, or, you know, the fact that they've got rotors that just don't work properly. So although you have the potential to build some quite interesting machines, half the time when you build those interesting machines, they'll fall apart or they'll explode, and it will not be your fault. And I think that's the difference between this game and Space Engineers. When I die, yeah, it's my fault. I know it's my fault. Every time I've died, you know, in this, you know, while playing this game, on this map, it's a case of, yeah, I'm going to die now. It's, you know, it's what's going to happen a fair amount, because my character is not really ready for survival on this world. May have been a little bit more ready had the lander not vanished, but you know, it is what it is, right? So yeah, probably not going to get this done by Oh no, we're now actually going over my time. I can do a little bit longer, but not too much more. I would quite like to just get this airlock in. I'll continue after I stop streaming. I'll continue to sort of bulking this out. I'd like to get today. My aim for this hotel would be to get the ceiling in and get the atmosphere flushed, so that when I pick up streaming again next week, because I would quite like to come back to this next week. When I resume streaming, it will be doing something new, something interesting, something that you won't have necessarily seen before. We'll be actually, starting to put in systems. Hopefully, that's where I want to be next week. So that this is built. By the time I start again streaming next week, hopefully, the bridge will be built over to the new area, and might have actually got some of that in. But the most important thing is that by next week I want this room to be secure and flushed with an atmosphere, with an oxygen atmosphere, and hopefully even some air conditioners in to bring the atmosphere down, so that when I need oxygen, or when I need to build something or whatever, I can come back to this space and survive, essentially. So I'm not constantly dying, basically. But I think that will have to wait for next. Well, I'll be continuing on with this when I log off. But yeah, actual completion will have to wait until next week, so that I can show you what I've done and how well it's gone and that sort of thing. But yeah, you can start to see kind of where I'm going, I hope. But with that, as it is past time, I will say thank you very much for watching.